what the heck is going on in here?
So it's like a modern day orgy.
But I was new. I was new to real estate, so I'm like, okay, whatever. That's the way to do things. That's the way to do things. Lauren, okay, I don't know, but never
mind. I lost my train of thought. Sorry, Carlos. Can you say that again?
So.
What's up, everybody?
What's up,
Hello. How are you guys doing tonight?
Cheers to a Friday
night.
Doing
well. It's Friday.
It is Friday. It is Friday. Hey, welcome to Orlando Brokers and Bourbon, the podcast where we explore the world of real estate, what is happening in Orlando, and indulge in the finest spirits we can find that aren't allocated.
That spirit is only bourbon.
That's right.
Bourbon.
Cheers, everybody. Let's raise a glass. It's Friday.
It's Friday.
What are we all drinking?
Well, Lauren.
Well,
first.
Guess who made it? Mr. Blanton.
Yeah. Wait.
Woohoo! Blanton.
All right, pulling through with the big stuff.
So we did make a promise, although I wasn't able to fulfill this on my end. I had a special friend by the name of Bo Julian that hooked me up.
What?
It was a bourbon gods. It really was gods. Don't feel left out, Matt. I'll make it up.
Little bit. That's all right. You've given me more than enough bourbon over the years, so we're good.
We couldn't let
How do you like it?
Oh, it's delicious. It's almost like Martinelli's apple juice. That's how easy to drink it is.
Hold the bottle up one more time, Lauren. We
gotta
see the little guy. Can you show us the little top of it?
Yeah. What letter did you get?
It is in letter N. So for our listeners, we did mention this on the first episode, but each bottle of Blanton's has a different letter representing the name of the bottle. It's a highly allocated bottle, so it's not very easy to get. I tried to go through my contact, and I was unsuccessful. But it turns out when you go over to the wealthiest part of the state of Florida, which is Palm Beach County, they get all the good stuff.
Yeah, they certainly do.
Yeah, well.
Speaking of that, bro, why don't you tell us what you're drinking tonight?
So I've got, I call this my patriotic bourbon. It's Horse Soldier. Don't know if you guys know the history of this. Does anybody know about Horse Soldier?
No, tell us. Yeah.
So what I've heard, I'm not exactly a connoisseur, but what I've heard is basically whenever the Special Forces went in to get bin Laden, they went in on horseback. And one of the guys that was on the Special Forces team actually started this bourbon. I believe he's from Tampa. And there's actually a movie made about called Four Horses, I think, or something like that. It's called
something like that.
And
it's a good movie.
Chris Helmsworth, I believe, played the character who took out bin Laden. And so anyway, it's a patriotic, so God bless America and a little horse soldier.
God bless that bourbon.
God bless that bourbon. That's a good movie if you haven't seen it. Really good movie.
I've heard. So that's what we're doing. So it's a special day. Now, what about you, buddy?
Well, I decided in Buffalo Trace fashion to drink the poor cousin of Blanton's, which is Weller.
poor man's Blanton's.
Poor man's Blanton's. I actually like it. Little known fact, well, there's probably a lot known fact to the bourbon connoisseurs out there, but you can only get this in Florida at the ABC Fine Wine and Spirits. And it's an allocated, it's very inexpensive. ABC actually sells it at MSRP, which is, I want to say, right around like $30 or so. So it's very reasonable, but you have to get there quick. You have to kind of call or stop in when you know the delivery day is happening. So,
and you know that then, Matt, I take it.
Are you on the list?
He knows the bourbon delivery date.
So, like, do they flash like lights or send you a special code, like the Batman symbol?
That's what it is. I kid you not.
Just beam it over.
When they say yes, we have it, I literally drop everything, jump in my car, and bolt. It's about a 15-minute ride. But
what's the name of it, Matt? I don't think I got that. Like Wellington or something?
Weller Special Reserve. It's their baseline.
Okay.
There's a lot of Weller lines, and at some point, we need to bring in a bourbon specialist to tell us how wrong we are with everything and give us a little education.
Somebody in mind. I got somebody in mind for that.
Yeah. Well, cool. So, how's everybody's week going?
Week is going well. Yeah, keeping busy.
Yeah. What are you up to?
Well, just living in the life of real estate. Got some travel coming up because I'm going to be working outside of the Orlando zone. But that's what we do. Wherever my MLS touches is my kingdom.
Lauren, you seem to be doing a lot of like commercial type stuff. You've been showing like business commercial properties and stuff. Did I notice that?
I've done a couple. We had a nice little 10-year lease that we negotiated for Hawaii Fluid Art. They've just opened. I know Bo mentioned that on one of our last podcasts.
Yeah.
Very excited for them. They're doing really, really great over in Winter Springs. Really cool art studio. And then we just sold some land over here off of Silver Star Road. So
awesome.
Yeah, moving some commercial properties.
Moving some
How about you, Matt?
Well, yeah, same. Just kind of the market, I think we said in the last show, is just starting to come alive. I think we'd all agree there's been a lot more showings, things happening. So I know, like, we may have cross the fingers, may have an offer coming in on our vacant land here. So that's exciting. Shane DeLocke, yeah.
Very cool.
We'll
nice
see.
Job,
I don't want to
guys.
jinx it. It may come in here over the weekend, but we'll see.
I heard if you sip bourbon, that stops it. You don't need to knock on wood. You just
stops
need to sip
it
bourbon.
or makes it happen.
Stops it from happening. Like jinxing. The actual
why are you
jinx.
doing that to me? Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. She's reversing the curse, Matt.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it.
Keep up, Matthew.
Come on, buddy. Stay on page. I love you, man. All right.
And you,
So what's going
Mr.
on with you?
Luxury. Hey, by the way, I don't mean to cut you off, but happy birthday, brother.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. 51 and counting. My birthday was on Tuesday. So had a pretty busy week. Had to go down to West Palm Beach for some family business. And then ended up coming back. And the very next morning, we basically had to start setting up for 50 kids for a paintball party for my twin son's birthday. Carter and Miles, happy birthday, boys. And so we had 50 kids.
Hopefully they're not listening.
And making sure 50 kids had,
not.
right? Well, they're used to bourbon talk in the house now. Let's be real.
By the way, look at the beautiful whiskey cart behind Mr. Julian.
Well, I'm going to get there. Can you?
Oh,
are you going to? For people listening, I'm going to get there. So we set up a big birthday party at the paintball world. I got shot all over. I got ate up by a bunch of 12-year-olds. I was man down. I raised my arm like I was supposed to, like a good soldier, to get out of the paintball. And like 3 kids tagged me. I have got bruises and welts all over the place, literally black and blue. Like I look like I need to be hospitalized. I got chest shot. I got shot in the side fat. I got hit in the arm. And so anyway, I got the heck beat out of me, but it was fun. The kids had a big time. That was kind of cool. And then my wife bought me a lovely, which those viewers that are just listening, or those listeners, not those viewers, the viewers can see on the camera. By the way, we are on YouTube, so feel free to like our channel. Anyway, so we've got a beautiful bourbon cart that my wife purchased me, along with some other little accoutrements, which we'll share with you on a later show. So that was kind of a fun little, yes, we got a great little, some fun stuff ahead. And then, of course, it was off to war and work, as usual.
Yeah. Got to pay the bills,
And
right?
just another week in showing properties, working with you, Matt. Although Matt had to carry a lot of the weight while I was gone, so thank you for that. I appreciate you
All
very
good.
much. And so we're off to it's been a productive week, and looking forward to the weekend.
Awesome. Hey, just on a side note, I know you were traveling with a friend of yours who. This is a big podcast for us because it's our first time bringing on a special guest. We're going to introduce him in about 3 to 5, maybe 10 minutes. But he's going to come on. I know he's been traveling with you, so I'm sure you guys got some good stories.
That's right. Looking forward to having him on. This is a big deal to have our first guest.
I know. I'm really excited about it.
Especially this one. So
this
big news ahead.
I see him in the waiting room. He's getting all prepped up. Kicking back that bourbon.
I think you did a shot of bourbon. What was that?
I don't know what's going on.
Alrighty.
So, I guess I'll just kind of talk a little bit about real estate since this is a real estate podcast. We were provided earlier in the week I don't know what you'd call this, just a little like
some data for the
chart
market.
data. Yeah, there you go. Which I was going to throw out to the group. It's provided by one of Bo's mortgage brokers, so thank you for providing that. But it's the change in home price value over the last 10 years. I'm going to throw it out to you guys. I know you guys may already know the answer, but I'll throw it out there. How many times has property values decreased since 1942, with a caveat, you hold on to the property for 10 years. So if you you buy a property, you hold on to it for 10 years, what's the chances how many times in history since 1942 has that property gone down in value over a 10-year standpoint?
Lauren, ladies first.
Well, I believe I saw the answer to that, so I don't want to be.
All right, go ahead. You can tell us.
I believe it was one time.
One time in, I don't know, what is 1942 to now? Anybody? Quick math?
That's a lot of years.
Year was it?
It's a lot of years.
Yeah,
my favorite year in real
70 something years.
No. What year did it actually not make?
Yeah, that's what I said. My favorite year in real estate, 2006. Known as the bust.
I call it the Great Depression. I know they call it the Great Recession, but I call it the Great Depression for me.
You guys were in real estate in those days, right? So what was that like?
Yeah, it was hell.
Yeah, it wasn't my best work. Let's just put it that way. But I think the positives of that time frame was to legitimize mortgages, put some things in place that needed to be there. I think those agents that were the strongest survived. There was a lot of agents exiting the market at that time because of what was going on. So those that continued and those that are still in real estate today, I give a huge props to, because probably the worst, and it was quick. It didn't happen like over a year's period of time. It was what did you say, Bo? Maybe 3 months, and it flopped.
When we fell off the cliff?
Yeah.
Within one quarter. Yeah. It was rocking and rolling, and then all hell broke loose.
And then from your experience or possibly from the data, were we able to maybe see how long it took to recover from that? 5 years?
Minimum.
5 years.
Minimum of 5 years.
5 years so we could get oxygen.
Yep.
So I guess as a lesson there, if you, like you said, holding the home for 10 years, or if you're going to hold it for 5 or more years, there's always risk, right? But you hold it a little bit longer if that's within your plan for owning your home, then there's a little less risk there when we're thinking about potential equity loss.
I mean, the idea is that real estate is not typically a short-term right? Investment. Let's
Right.
face it, it
Right.
is a long-term investment to begin with, and you've got to live somewhere. So at the end of the day, yeah, everybody likes, they say it used to be everybody moves every 3 to 5 years. That graph, that's going to change too because of everything that's going on in our
I
world today.
agree.
But back in the day, that was kind of the norm. And, so at the end of the day, you got to live somewhere, right? So it's a great place to park your money, but it is a long-term investment. And yes, as you said, there is risk. Like with everything in life, there's risk walking out to check your mail. Things happen. But I think if you use your head, don't overextend, and buy a home you can afford, and just stay the course, you'll be in good shape. You won't regret it.
Yep.
You won't regret it. I like that, Bo. Park your money. You won't regret it.
Right. Wholeheartedly agree with that statement. And just to piggyback on that, one of the things I want to talk about today real quick, and then we'll get to our guest, is buying a house or selling your house and then buying another house. And which do you do first? And that's always the chicken or the egg type scenario. I typically, and I'll give you my opinion and then I'll throw it out to the rest of you guys to see what your thoughts are. But you have certain options when you're going to sell a house, whether you're in a position where you can buy a house first and then sell your house, which for the masses isn't always the most ideal thing, but they're I'm always asked the question, I'm sure you guys are as well, of what do I do first? Do I put my house on the market, then go look at houses, or do I find the house I want, put an offer in, and then put my house on the market? So there are certain options that you can go through. I always traditionally tell my clients, you got to start with getting your house ready to sell. Now, you can look for houses online. You might even want to take it as far as looking at some neighborhoods or going to preview a house or whatnot. But it really starts with putting your house on the market first, and then look at the options for either renting, if that's something you want to go down that road, or try to do a post-closing type of, you're renting the house back from whoever's buying it.
Right.
Or is it a simultaneous, which a lot of people think is super easy to do, and it's probably the hardest thing in real estate that you can do, is sell your house and buy a house at the same time. Your other options are to delay closing, or I think I mentioned post occupancy. So what do you guys see? What do you think is the best option? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? I'll throw it out to Bo first, I guess, and then Lauren can chime in as well.
All right. Well, thank you. So it's a slippery slope. We sometimes call it a moon launch. It's kind of like when you put a man on the moon. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, especially at takeoff. So that's kind of how it is. You got a lot of balls in the air, and I got to keep a lot of things moving forward, and you got to keep the momentum going. So, there's different ways of slicing it and dicing it, but bottom line, ultimately, if the funds are coming out of the house that you're selling, I always would recommend getting your house obviously on the market first, only because it's hard to get people to take a contingency contract on the purchase side when a home is not even on the market. As a matter of fact, I just got an offer this week, similar circumstance. Their home's not even on the market. And my seller's basically doesn't even want to look at it. Now, anything can happen. There's different ways to make it go. But bottom line, a lot of people aren't really warm and fuzzy on taking that deal. So you really need, I think, to get your house on the market, at least have it active, and ideally, hopefully have some offers on the property or a contract on it before you actually go out and write up another contract. Obviously, I recommend that for anybody in that position that they make any contract on the purchase subject to the sale of their home, or if they're going to put up any type of deposits that in the contract that they minimize their exposure on the damages they're willing to accept. For i.e., I'm accepting all willing, if I can't pull this off, I'll minimize my damages to a $10,000 loss on this date as like a drop dead date. So there's a couple things, and this is kind of built with an attorney kind of stuff sometimes. So certainly reach out to some attorneys for maybe some legal matters. But at the end of the day, I think from a negotiation standpoint, as an agent and as a buyer, if you really find something you really want, then I think that is the first step that you kind of got to get the ball rolling on your house if your funds are coming out of that for the purchase.
I agree with you.
So, yeah. So then, of course, now on the buy side, you got some things moving there too, because what can happen is sometimes if on the buy side something starts going wrong, potentially say a seller is not getting out in a timely manner, or maybe there's some, points of contention at some sort, that can create some problems for you too. So that's why I say all the dominoes sort of have to fall in place. At the end of the day, if you stack it right, and you do everything right and play it, minimize your risk the best that you can, but know that there is risk in that. But we do it all the time. Buying and selling, those are unique things. Now the title companies have some words of advice. I think we'll probably get some of that here shortly. Yes. There's a lot of things there, but it can be done. There's multiple ways to do it, and I just always say hedge your bets.
Yeah. Lauren, any last minute thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, obviously, it's ideal for you to put your home on the market first, especially like Bo said, if the funds are coming out of the sale of that home to make your home purchase, you're going to need the money, right? But, again, it just depends on your motivation. Are you highly motivated to sell your house? Are you okay to maybe live in a rental property for a little while if that needs to happen, or if it's happening at the same time? Are you prepared to kind of deal with any obstacles that come up? But all in all, like you guys said, I think just getting the house prepared, getting on the market is probably the best way to do it. Yeah. But depending on their situation and market too, right?
Yeah.
If homes aren't flying off the market, you might have a little more time on the sale of your home. Whereas if homes are going pretty quick and you're seeing some homes that you like, you're gonna want to be in the best position there to negotiate your offer.
Yeah.
And not to interrupt you on that thought, but to your point, if the market is a little softer, that sometimes does give you a little bit of an edge to a buyer to do that, because sellers aren't selling quite as quickly and they're more open to creative ideas.
100%.
So I think to your point that all good stuff. So slower markets sometimes do give you an opportunity for these more creative alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All good stuff, you guys. Good stuff. So let's talk about simultaneous, and I'll turn it over to Bo. Simultaneous is for those of you who don't know, are when you buy a house and sell a house essentially in the same day or within a 24 to 48 hour period of time.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we're talking about, except for you're kind of trying to pull it off on a short window. And
very
that's
short.
Strict. Yeah. So that money's got
pressure
to move
cooker.
Pressure cooker. That's a good word. That money's got to move from basically one escrow account from one closing attorney over to another closing attorney's office, and it's got to go through basically, usually in many cases, there's lenders that have to analyze and watch this and source this and and it's a little bit of a challenge. So the best person to talk about this on the title side, because they're there whenever this kind of happens. They're there for all the fireworks, and they see all the bloodbath that goes down because they're at ground zero. So I'm going to introduce our very first guest. I'm very excited. We've got my very good long-term 30-year best friend in the world, Carlos Fernandez, with Equitable Title. And Carlos has got a story after story after story.
Woohoo!
What's up, buddy?
Hey guys, how are we doing tonight? Thank you.
Thanks for being patient in the old waiting room.
No, honored to be here today with you guys. Everything you guys were saying about the different ways to do it when you come to the buying and the selling, you hit every possibility, and every possibility is different for other people. And sometimes things work out. Sometimes people have already moved out of the house. It's no big deal. Delays is nothing. It doesn't matter. You have nice people involved in the transaction, and everything is great. And then sometimes you have people that are not nice to each other, and you have people that are not willing to wait. And
I don't understand. What do you mean?
Oh, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. And it does get difficult. I have seen almost every type of scenario you guys have set up. the post occupancy, pre occupancy. Sometimes, hey, we sold, we need a place to live. We already moved out. We need to go somewhere. We're not ready to close. Our lender's backed up, and then you have the buyers moving into the house before we close. I've seen that happen before.
No.
Well,
Don't let them in.
Hey, what?
it happens. Nothing that a big escrow deposit, security deposit will not cure.
Money cures all.
$30,000 security deposit in case any damages and we need to evict you out. I just have one of those right now. Everything was moving forward. A gentleman is buying a home for his parents. Parents are already here. They're staying at his house. He wants them out of his house. And the house he bought for them has solar panels. And as you guys will know, with the solar panels, it's a little bit of a headache. There was some issues, and it was just paperwork. So we delayed about 2 weeks. And the buyer goes, well, I'm already, the sellers, I'm already out. I have been out. Let's move them in. Let's collect some rent. And let's put a big deposit down and see what happens.
Wow. Carlos, can I ask you, just for the listeners, because I know we get a lot of questions from friends, potential buyers, potential sellers about adding solar panels. What was it in that scenario that caused the problem? Like, what was the situation?
Well, in this particular situation, the seller, when they purchased the property, it was new construction. There is a builder out there, won't say their name. They're now just
No,
adding.
I want to hear their name.
They're adding solar panels to every house they built. It's already on there. You buy the house, there's no choice. The entire neighborhood, actually, there is covenants and restrictions for the association. There is solar panel language. It's already there. You have no choice.
Yep.
And this particular people, they're from out of the country. It was an investment property for them, and they had no clue where they had to make their $49 a month payment. Now, these are wealthy people. They still did not know where to send their $49 a month payment. And it's a home they bought cash, but they had to send $49 a month for the solar panels. Now, 3 years later, they go to sell it. Well, the account is in collections, and no one at the solar panel company will speak to anyone until they speak to the solar panel company's attorneys who are handling the collection. So by the time the people send a check, not only for what they owed, they actually paid the 26 years of the solar panels up front. Wow. It still took 2 weeks for us to be able to speak to the solar company, because every time we call, it was like, well, we won't speak to you till we get our check. Wow. So we finally got the check. Now we're working on it. And that's just in this particular case. The biggest problem with solar is that there's different programs with different ways to do things. And some of them do not consider themselves liens, and that causes a big problem in the industry.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So solar panel problems or solar panels have only been out really in Florida for, I don't know, I'd say 5 years or so. It's becoming a challenge, and I know I've sold a couple, and I'm sure the rest of you have sold a couple that because they have these payment plans. How is that treated on the title? Is it a lien? Is it a just a monthly payment? Do they need to satisfy that prior to closing? How are you guys seeing that as far as satisfying those monthly payments? Like, is that required? So I'll give you a real life example. We actually had a transaction where the seller wasn't going to satisfy it. He was just going to, he said, you buy the house, you're going to just take over the payment. So is that coming up a lot, Carlos?
It is. And the problem is the program itself. One of the biggest problems that we have is actually the best program is out there. And what they have is the people are not making a monthly payment. You get the solar panels. It's now added to your tax bill. It's in your tax bill. But there is a solar panel memorandum recorded in public records. They themselves, the company, do not look at it as a lien on the property. But right now, the title industry, FHA, VA, everyone is looking at it as a lien. So when you call them and saying, hey, the Joneses are selling the home to the Smiths, they're like, okay, no big deal. We don't care. We run by the tax bill. It's on the text. We don't have to do anything. I go, no, you have a lien. Do you have a subordination program? And they do not have a subordination program or any kind of transfer program, because in their own minds, they believe we're not a lien. We don't need to do anything. This goes with the house. It goes with the tax bill. That is the best setup out there in regards to you owning a home with solar panels, but it's the worst when you selling the house. Some of the other ones where you're making payments, no big deal. They have a subordination system. They have a transfer system. The seller calls, hey, I'm selling my house. Here's my buyer's name. Here's my buyer's email. Title company's this is their email. They do everything. Title company gets an email one day saying, hey, we release everything. We satisfy everything on public records. You have 10 days to close. We're going to re-record everything again on the buyer's name. They're paying, but as a title side of things, it's easy to close.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I read something before where I guess it depends on the company that's doing the solar panels, right? But they wouldn't allow an early payoff. Have you ever seen that happen, Carlos?
I have not seen one like that. And I have seen ones where people thought they would never have to pay it off because that's what they were told by the salesperson.
Oh, yeah.
And then once again, you go to say to them, we don't have a subordination system, nothing like that. And then a seller has to pay them off before they sell their house.
Well, interesting stuff. Well, so Carlos, shifting gears just a little bit, that is some really good information. Is there anything else right now that's kind of going on in the title world that's kind of any hot buttons that you're seeing at this juncture in time? Is there anything that's kind of going on that we should be aware of, or maybe the listeners might want to know about?
In other words, we want to hear a good story.
Kind of getting there.
Well,
we want the nitty gritty.
We want brawls in the title office, throwing chairs.
We can get to some of those later here, but
later. How long you think this is gonna be?
Oh, I don't know.
We're gonna go into OT tonight.
Maybe you guys will invite me in a couple more weeks. I don't know.
Yeah. Fire away. Tell us what's hot today.
So really, you guys already brought it up. The solar panel thing is a situation. That is our biggest problem right now. Solar panels has been the biggest problem at this moment, but in general, in the last couple of years, fraud. That's been the biggest things. Vacant land fraud. We have a lot of, let's say, developers, or I guess let's call them developers, who bought land, got it all tracked out. You can build a home, they build the streets and do a thing, but we're not building houses. Anyone can buy a lot and build their house. Well, they usually sell them to people outside of the state of Florida, outside of the area, and they're supposed to hold them for years and make some money later on. And they have been just people out there that know this. And the vacant land fraud, especially with sellers living outside of the state of Florida, outside the United States, it's a big, big thing.
Can you give us an example, Carlos? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we had these people who basically reached out to a real estate agent. We want to sell our lots. We have 2 lots in this neighborhood. Great. They listed the property. A buyer from their own brokerage had a buyer who was a builder, and they got excited about the price. And you gotta look at things like that. If everyone's paying $80,000 a lot in the neighborhood, and somebody say, hey, I'll sell it to you for 50, you need to look at maybe something weird's going on here. You get too excited. And this ended up in a lawsuit. And at the end of the day, the attorneys were like, hey, you guys are all real estate professionals. You got a listing agent, you got a buyer's agent, you got a builder, and you guys got all excited about $50,000 lots in an $80,000 a lot neighborhood. You guys should have thought about this better. Let's call them the thieves. The thieves got IDs. Yeah, the thieves got passports that with the names of the current owners of the lots. Wow. And when they dealt with the title company, everything to them looked good. Everything went through, the signs, send the money, what so on. And of all people, the buyer's attorney goes, oh, by the way, you bought this lots. You got to be careful. There's been a lot of fraud in this neighborhood because every single lot is owned by somebody in Canada.
Oh, wow.
And there you go. Next thing you know, they start investigating, and the title company gets a call from the actual owner saying, hey, I heard my my lots were sold,
Mm-hmm.
A, B, C, and next thing you know, now the builder is halfway through building a house when they find out they don't really own the lots.
So, question for you about
Oh
that
my
scenario. So, as the
God.
owner of the property, the owner that has been defrauded, who has a title policy and title insurance, which is what they paid for, so now they make a claim against their title because their title has been obviously fraudulently deeded over, and now it's created a massive cloud. So, what happens in that scenario? So, what happens once they file a claim with their title agent or their title company, and then what is the process?
They do, and they did in this particular case. The title underwriter did what they were supposed to do. They looked into it. They actually got in contact with the real owners of the property, and they confirmed the real owners did not sell the property. Thieves sold it, and basically they wrote a check back to the buyers.
They'll reverse the sale, isn't that what they do?
Well, they do not reverse the sale.
Correct deed, correct?
They could have. So in this particular case, what happened was this, and it all depends. This case could have gone two ways, and it went a different way. There was a conversation with the seller. The seller at the time did not know what his lots were valued at. When he was told, "Hey, the lots were sold at this price," they were like, "Okay, that's good. I'll go ahead and I'll take that." So in this particular case, the underwriter wrote a check over to the buyers and just took themselves out of the equation. I have seen situations where the underwriter gets a little bit more involved and, "Hey, Mr. Jones, you're the real owner. It was sold for this price. Let's do this. We'll write you a check for that money, and you just sign a real deed over to the buyer." That is a best case scenario. In this case scenario, the underwriter just got a little too, they wanted to be out of it, and they just wrote a check to the buyers and made them whole.
Yeah.
And then but you have a builder with houses halfway built.
Right.
And at that point, the real owner's son had a property next door, a lot next door. He flew to Groveland, called back and said, "Hey, Dad, this house is halfway here built. I think we got this people over the barrel." So now there's negotiations between the buyers and the real owners about, okay, we got our money back. We can just give you a check for this amount, because no, I want more. So that took a little bit. They had to write a check for a little higher to the seller. And then, of course, they went in after the title company for time loss and things like that. So,
Carlos, the checks that are being written, that's all covered under the title insurance? So the underwriter is writing those.
That
now,
first check.
I'm sorry. So will the underwriter go after that particular buyer for recourse?
The fraud person? Yes.
Yeah.
So anytime a title underwriter, doesn't matter who it is, anytime they have to write a check for something as bad as that fraud, that's usually the worst. You have to write a check for a full sales price or something like that. When they do that, they definitely go after, if possible, after the thieves. They'll make every effort. If it happened here with the United States, it was a United States thief. It's easier to track people down, get a hold of them, get back money. Some people think that stealing real estate is real easy, and they think that once they stole it, that it's all done. And sometimes they just, "Hey, I stole it. I'm just hanging out with the money I made. I'm not running away." And they're easy to catch. It's harder to go after people that are outside of the country. You're not going to catch them. Interpol is not chasing the guy that defrauded $40,000 on a vacant lot in Groveland. Plain and simple.
Right. So these thieves in particular, is that common that you're seeing most of them that are doing these scams are typically abroad, not here in the States?
It is. It is easier for them to say, I need to go to the U.S. Embassy. And that's the biggest thing. Everyone feels safe about, my seller is going to sign at the U.S. Embassy in whatever country. Well, there's plenty of fake U.S. Embassy notary stamps floating around the world. Yeah. And that's actually a worst case scenario. They rather not you go. And if they do, here's a thing for you guys and any title company you're dealing with. the U.S. Embassy, any U.S. Embassy, you can send them an email and ask, is Mr. whomever have an appointment tomorrow at 5 o'clock to sign some documents? And if that person is really the real seller and they did make an appointment at the U.S. Embassy in London, guess what? Their name is going to be on the book because
Sure.
you gotta make those appointments like 2 weeks in advance. So yeah, Mr. Jones is coming at 2 o'clock. He says he's bringing some real estate documents, and like you're like, okay, so he did make an appointment. He is going there.
Wow.
Okay, that's great advice because that was going to be kind of my next question was like, what are we doing right now to prevent those future incidents from happening, and how can sellers and buyers protect themselves in those scenarios? So if it's an international fraud, basically they can contact the U.S. Embassy, but if it's happening here,
If it's
what are we doing?
If it's happening here, it's a little bit harder to track down. It's easier to track down where it came from due to phone numbers and emails and things like that. If you have a crooked notary helping you out, you go to that state. Hey, is this person really a notary? Yes, there is. They helped out somebody do something. But if they have fake IDs, you really cannot go after the notary. Sometimes just up to like, where did it happen? Is there video? It's tough sometimes to catch those people.
Wow. Good stuff.
So
Is there anything
basically,
else that-
Carlos, you're shit out of luck.
Oh.
Now understand that usually in the title
Thanks,
industry,
Lauren.
it is the underwriter who ends up writing that check and not being able to get their money back. They're the ones usually, other than inconvenience, people are usually made whole. There might be a little loss here and there, but the underwriters will write that check, plain and simple.
Well, that's
just as long as you have title insurance.
Yeah.
that's why you get title insurance.
That's why you get
That's why
title
you get
insurance.
it.
100%.
That's another
100%,
conversation. We can have that conversation next time you come on about people that don't get title insurance. We'll talk about that next time. Is there another
Ooh, I would love to hear about
anything
that.
else, Carlos, that's current modern day? I mean, that's pretty big. I know fraud is an error. I think, like you talk about solar. Is there any other thing you can think of, or those are two kind of things today that's kind of current?
Those are the problems, I would say, solar and whatever. But in regards to a trend, what's going on in real estate,
going on?
I think at the end of the day is that we are getting lazier as people. And
As people or real estate agents?
No. I think the planet.
As a human race.
as a human race,
Okay.
And at least in this country, we do not want to be inconvenienced. Nobody wants to be inconvenienced. I think one of the funniest things that I look at when it comes to people buying a home, they'll call me like, well, how long is this going to take? I'm like, you're okay with going to a Toyota dealership and spending 8 hours to buy a Toyota Corolla, but you are upset you're going to spend 45 minutes at a title company buying a $300,000 home. There's a problem
Carlos,
there.
I will say though, when I made my purchase for my GMC Terrain with Bo's friend up there in Jacksonville, it was like ordering a pizza. I went online, I picked out my style, I clicked a couple buttons, and bam, I ordered a new car.
Michael Weiner.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
he's the best.
It's awesome. Michael Weiner. Garber Auto Mall in Green Cove Springs.
Yeah.
That's your plug when I'm ready to get a new truck, by the way,
That's right.
Mike.
He's awesome.
Just remember
He is
that.
awesome.
Yeah, Michael
Good
is
stuff.
amazing. My girlfriend got her car the same way.
So we've all done it.
Yeah,
Michael sponsors this show now.
I was just going to say, Mike needs
Free
to
cars
be our
for
next,
everybody.
He needs to be our next guest.
All right. Well,
Well,
we're gonna have him on. We're gonna have him on.
Yeah, right?
All right. Well, before we we're not that Carlos is going anywhere, but before we
He's
take him
gonna
off
hang.
the stage,
I'm
I want
hanging,
to
I'm
ask
hanging.
him one more question. We want to know the dirt.
Yes.
Carlos and I just recently took a trip. We talked about a little earlier to West Palm Beach over the weekend. We rode the train. It was an awesome experience. Highly recommend it. We had a great trip.
What train, Bo? Just for our listeners.
Oh, for the listeners, I'm sorry. That is the Bright Line train. It
Bright
was
Line.
fantastic. So not a lot faster than driving, but way more enjoyable and definitely highly recommended.
Bo was sending us pictures
I
of his
saw
bourbon.
the photos.
Yeah. So anyway, Carlos and I were sharing some stories. We're talking about some crazy stuff. So I won't know which story you're going to tell now, Carlos, but can you tell us one really good story at the closing table?
I will say a really good one. And before I say that, I will say this about the train ride. It was still about the same drive, but I did not yell at one driver. Not one. Just,
No road
yeah,
rage.
yeah, there's no road rage. It's the best thing.
Yes,
I
it
will,
is.
I will say one of my best ones was, and this was a long time ago, back in the days where, and thank God to Trid, we don't have this anymore, but we have buyers and sellers back in the day in the room at the same time. And as even when I first started in title 20 years ago, the first time I actually was in a room with a buyer and a seller, I thought to myself, it's like, why is this happening this way? There are private things going on here. The seller does not need to know that about the buyer. The buyer does not need to know that about the seller. What the heck is going on in here?
So it's like a modern day orgy.
But I was new. I was new to real estate, so I'm like, okay, whatever. That's the way to do things. That's the way to do things. Lauren, okay, I don't know, but never mind.
I lost my train of thought. Sorry, Carlos. Can you say that again?
So let's go back to this story.
Yeah.
I had a,
I actually want to.
So tell us about the buyer and the seller at the closing table together.
Okay.
Sorry.
Back on track. Get your minds out together, kids.
so we had a closing where the walkthrough was the night before the closing. And you guys know that sometimes at walkthroughs, things happen. You know, you move all the furniture out, and now all of a sudden you see that spot on the carpet that the couch was covering. And this is exactly what happened here. Now all the furniture is out. They look at the ground. There's a spot there. Night before, there's an argument about the carpet. They're arguing about repairs, repair credits, and so on. And they do. The seller goes, okay, whatever, $500 repair credit for the carpet, or whatever credit for the carpet. The next day, this was one of those things that the lender got ready late, so we didn't schedule the closing until the next morning. And when the agents called,
Nothing but trouble.
They
when
really
the
are.
when the agents called,
backing things up.
Who's our next guest, by the way? A lender?
when their agents called, I was like, hey, since we had this little thing going on last night, how about if we just schedule buyers and sellers at a different time? That's an idea. They're like, oh, no worries. We got to figure it out. There's a credit. We're good to go. Okay. So here we go. Old school. We have the closing. Buyer and seller at the same table. Well, the agent, actually it was my boss that was involved in this. He's reading through the settlement statement, and he gets to that line that says, credit from seller to buyer, $500 for carpet. And the seller says, that's BS. The buyer says, you're an a-hole. They both stand up. The seller knocked out the buyer. Just reach across the table. Boom. Out, down. Down goes Frazier.
He's like, there's
down
your
goes
carpet,
Frazier.
bitch.
Yeah. Down goes Frazier.
Wow.
911 gets dialed. Ambulance shows up. They take the man away, the buyer away. He's gone, a few minutes passed, stressed, this, whatever. One of the other owners kind of took over the scene, had the seller go ahead and sign and everything. We had the buyer's wife in another room, and the buyer's wife goes, I want this house. He should have kept his mouth shut. What?
I kind of had a feeling that was coming. I was like, if she stayed in the room, she was like, thank you for punching him in the face. Let's move on.
And she's like, what can we do? She goes, well, we can figure things out. And basically, our office was in College Park at the time. And he was taken to the, I think that's, I don't know what hospital. It's a Florida hospital there in Princeton, on Princeton Street, over there in Princeton. They take him to Princeton. We wait a while. Basically, he broke his jaw. They have to wire his jaw shut.
Oh my
Gosh.
The other owner of the company finished the closing in the room at the hospital. He's over there going, and the wife's like, just sign. And the guy's just signing away.
Oh my God.
Completely not being able to speak words.
What an effective hit.
Seller Rocky Balboa?
I love
That's
this guy.
unbelievable.
He was a big boy. And there was
Wow.
some lawsuits after it, and police
Yeah, I can
came
imagine.
in and interview. There's a whole mess after that, but they
Great
sold the house.
story,
They got a house.
Senor. Very good story. I think I think that is a perfect story. Well, we are going to keep you around, but we're going to
Yes.
let you off the hook on work stuff. So you're gonna stick around now and just drink the
Now
rest
you
of
can
your
just have
bourbon
some
and listen
fun.
to us and jump in whenever you want to.
I will.
That
That's
was such a
awesome.
great
Appreciate it.
story,
Thank you.
Carlos.
Yeah,
I'm
that
so
was
glad
very
you
cool.
shared that.
Very
Thank you,
cool.
guys.
All
you.
right. So we're getting down. I know we're kind of running a little overtime today because we've got such a great guest on and we're all having too much fun. But we've got a couple more things to talk about. So what's next on the agenda, Matt?
We have.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's that? Oh, is that the whale?
Well.
Hold on a second. I had it on there.
Oh, the
You
whale.
did have it there. I don't know what happened. Oh, it's
There
it's
was a
down
house
there.
and sound.
How do I get it?
You like that sound?
I just did it for you, Matt.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You got it up?
I do. Well,
All righty,
Okay.
kid.
He's talking about the visuals, guys.
stop it,
Just so you
Lauren.
know.
Just stop
I'm
it,
just-
right?
all
Just-
right.
People are listening. They need to be
Okay.
aware.
All right. So the images of the home for the whale of the week are
Whale
on
of the week.
screen.
I was too busy setting this up. Can I get a Lauren whale first, quick?
Okay, Lauren, fire it away. Give us a Lauren whale.
I need that for.
Carlos hates us.
Sounds like a.
Was it Finding Nemo over here?
My dog is barking in the next
Not
room.
quite sure what that is. All right, go ahead, Mr.
All right.
Bell.
Well, let me tell you guys a little bit about this one. This one's very, very cool. This house actually has a bit of a history to Orlando. This property is at 1461 Via Tuscany in Winter Park, Florida. It's in a historic area called Cloister Grove. Really unique area, kind of on Lake Maitland, pretty much walking distance to Park Avenue and all the hot spots. This home was built back in 1919. It is 5 bedrooms, 4 full baths, 2 half baths, listed for $13,500,000. It is 1.57 elevated acres on Lake Maitland with 138 feet of frontage. Now, this house is really cool for a lot of reasons, guys. There's actually a history here. So it's being offered for really the only, like the third time in 100 years, which is really, really unique. And I'll tell you why this one's so cool and has such a great history. So the current owner of the home, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Massey. Massey Services. It's a drive down I-4. You'll see the Massey building on the side of the road. Mr. Massey passed away last year at 81 years old. He was a bootstrap guy, built his fortune from the ground up. Pest control, pest services, pesticides, and so on and so forth.
I use Massey.
I think everybody uses Massey. So the company, when he passed, I don't know what it's worth today, but I believe it was around $350 million when he passed away. I believe his wife is selling the home now, or the estate. But what's really, really neat about this particular home, in addition to, of course, it being Winter Park, it being an absolutely drop-dead gorgeous piece of property west-facing on Lake Maitland, but one thing that's really cool is this house history goes back to the OGs of Orlando. So I did a little research.
Cool.
Carlos can look through some title and some history here, but have you guys ever heard of Showalter?
No, I've heard of the comedian Michael Showalter.
So Showalter, for those of you that might have been in Orlando for a minute, like myself, when I was a kid, there used to be something called Showalter Field. So I believe even today, I think the UCF Stadium is called Showalter Field, or one of the fields there. But actually, the Showalters were brothers, and they were on the forefront of the aviation industry. And so when I was a kid, Showalter Field was the Orlando Executive Airport. So, yeah, so really cool. This house is actually in aeronautical history. So the Showalter brothers came here. He was a well-known pilot, came out of World War, I can't remember, one or whatever it was. Long story short, they came into Orlando, started the Showalter Field Aviation, and they were doing private pilot lessons out of this particular Orlando, Winter Park, and this
Like
is
that, like where the house is, like doing it out of here.
actually where the Orlando Executive Airport was, but this became
Okay,
primary residence. So they
Oh
were
wow.
that's so cool.
kind of a pretty substantial, kind of history to this home. So it's not
When
just
was the house built, Bo?
1919. So pretty cool. You can see. I mean, obviously, it's more of a traditional style home.
I
For
love
those
those
of you-
floors.
I know that
Yeah.
those of you listening can't see.
Beautiful.
It's a very pretty brick,
Is
gorgeous
that an indoor pool?
Is that indoor pool?
home with an indoor
Mhm.
pool.
Yeah.
It's got lots of woodwork, lots of trim. It's more of a traditional style home, so it's not maybe some of the more modern stuff that you look for today, but it's absolutely a gorgeous estate. So anyway, I picked
But
this.
you're buying a piece of history on the Winter Park chain of lakes.
It's a great piece of history, great location, just walking distance. So anyway, great house. So anybody looking to buy a piece of history in Winter Park for $13,500,000, feel free to call any of the three of us, and we'll be
Right.
happy to help you make
Show it
this
to you.
your reality.
Yeah, I mean, you can't see it right now, but we can show it to you in person.
Yeah.
And we are ready, willing, and able. So please do reach out to us today for that $13.5 million
Carlos,
home.
what do you think? Are you in, Carlos? You can afford it. You've been in title for like 20-something
Yeah.
years now. You've owned like 3 companies, title companies, right?
Yeah, I don't know. That's still a little bit out of my yeah.
That's
I'm
on your
out of that
budget?
Look at that.
I am out of that
Title-
tax bracket. I'm out of that tax bracket.
Well, listen, here's the thing, Carlos. Equitable Title would be happy, Carlos Fernandez, to close this beauty for you. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely.
That's true.
oh, speaking of that, Carlos, if you do sell something for $13,500,000, can you get a discount?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Don't you get a little bit of a discount over?
You
once
will
you
get a
little big and-
discount.
Yeah,
You will
that's
get a
right. What is it?
discount.
Anything over $1 million, you get a little bit of a break on the title.
Yeah,
policy?
you start getting a little bit of break after $1 million, then 2 again, and some other. It keeps on dropping down. The premium
right.
drops out after $1 million.
Very
Ooh,
good.
so
Well, we're
it
gonna talk
pays.
about
It
that.
pays to have good real estate.
Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
That's right.
100%. What a
Maybe we
beautiful
can-
That's
house.
awesome. That was a great will, Bo. Thank you for bringing that
Yeah.
that will to us.
You're welcome. Thanks for pointing it out to me, Lauren. I'll give you the credit and the kudos on that one. You brought that one to my attention.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Oh well, you know how much I love the parks of winters.
Yeah.
Parks of winners.
Oh goodness.
Anyway.
Alrighty.
Well, thank you, Bo.
You're
Hey,
welcome.
we kind of skipped a little section, and I want to go back to it real quick. Lauren, one of our main segments is what is happening in Orlando? What's the newest, latest, greatest? So you're on stage. Tell us a little bit about what's happening around town.
I thought I was off the hook today.
Nope.
Sorry about
No.
that. I didn't mean to
Sorry.
skip. I'm sorry. I jumped the. Jumped
No,
the
I think it
shark
was
on
my
that.
fault.
Sorry.
No, it's
One of us somehow. I
It's
got out
okay.
of the sequence.
So there's always a ton of stuff happening here in Orlando, and I think we are very lucky that we're experiencing so much growth. Although some might disagree, but it's a really great city to live in, and there's always something happening. Today, I thought it would be nice to kind of focus on some reoccurring events that we have that go on. And to start, we have every Friday, Windermere does a farmer's market. It's one of the smaller farmer's markets. Saturdays, Winter Park and Winter Garden do their farmer's markets. And those are really cool. My favorite is actually Winter Garden because they just have their farmer's market. They have a really great selection of vendors. And actually one of my favorite
agree.
vendors, she makes these vegan pot pies, and as you guys know, I'm vegan, so they are absolutely amazing. But she also does like a seafood one, and she has meat and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
But I make special trips over there for that. But
I'll take a vegan pot pie next time you go. I want one.
Okay, I'll get you one. I will
Can I have
definitely
mine
get you
with
one.
meat?
Yes, I will grab you both a pot pie.
Thank you.
But that one's great because it's got a great mix of food, creative vendors, and then of course you've got Crooked Can Brewery right there if you're kind of sick of walking around. And there's a little food hall attached to it, so that's a fun spot. And then on Sunday, if you haven't had your fill of farmers markets, you can head on over to Lake Eola, which is the backdrop of our city beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And they also put on a really great farmers market. It's great for people watching. You can feed the swans. You can even ride the swan boats if you'd like. And it's walking distance to some pretty cool restaurants over there in Thornton Park. One of my favorite spots, Eula General, is right there in the Lake Eula Historic District. So it's a really, really fun thing to do.
Awesome.
Also reoccurring every Saturday, downtown Kissimmee actually does like an old classic car show. I have not been yet, but it sounds really cool and it's free. It's going to be every Saturday. It's free for attendees as well as the registered cars. And then to continue on,
Sorry,
go ahead.
O-Town. That's at O-Town, right? The Kissimmee Car Show. Do you know where that's located?
Old Town.
Yep. That's it. Old Town.
Yep.
Thank you. I was trying to think. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And then every fourth Friday, so this isn't every week, but every fourth Friday of the month, Windermere does their food truck night in the town of Windermere. That's a really fun event. It's actually one of our favorite events to attend because personally, I think it's probably one of the most local experiences you can get here in Orlando. When you go down there, everyone's family, friends popped up. They've got their tables popped up with their chairs. They've got a bottle of wine on the table. Everyone's eating, hanging out. Kids are running around. There's usually live music playing. You can grab a glass or grab a whole bottle over at Tim's Wine Market. You can go grab a beer from Windermere Brewery. It's just a really, really fun event to attend.
Matt seems to be raising his hand. It's like he's in class.
So
Can we still get ice cream or not, Matt? No ice cream?
Yeah.
that's a
not
little
anymore.
hurtful, Carlos.
Oh,
Thanks.
sorry, sir.
Hey,
I love the show.
little known fact, and I'm not tooting my own whistle here, but I actually was on the committee that started the downtown food truck event.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give
No
you a little.
joke.
I didn't.
Thank you, Matt. We appreciate it.
I was on the approval committee and whatnot. So that was several years ago. But we started the event to showcase the downtown businesses, and it's kind of evolved from there. And unfortunately, we are now dirt. There's progress happening in downtown, and they got rid of our ice cream shop. But that's my claim.
I would love to hear about that progress. Maybe on another episode when we have more time.
I think that maybe there's going to be an Allen's ice cream back in downtown Windermere sooner than we imagine. I don't know. I'm going to put it out there to the universe.
A lot of people are sad about it. Like anyone I talk to, they're like, "Oh yeah." I mean, that's the local spot. People love to have a brand that they recognize, and Allen's was the brand in the town of Windermere.
Yes, Allen's was the brand. It was part of people's childhood, and I think for anything, Matt, you gave a lot of memories to a lot of families. So that's pretty sweet, man. We can't all say that. So ice cream brings people together.
100%. That was always our fun business. 15 years, and we really enjoyed doing it. It was I always call it my fun business. We just had a lot of fun and did create a lot of memories. So anyway, that was great. But the food truck event is awesome. I've supported it for many years, and especially around the holidays, it's a lot of fun. So
Oh yeah.
Cool.
And
Lauren, you're going after this, right? You're heading there.
That's the plan. Yeah, if this weather holds out.
All right.
Cool.
Is there anything else going on this weekend, or anything else you got to share with us for here?
There's a lot going on, but I think we've really taken advantage of the ears of our listeners.
Right.
Saving some little nuggets for next week.
Right.
Yeah, we'll save some stuff, but we're always going to have some. I mean, honestly, I have to say, I lived in New York, so I was always out and about doing the fun stuff. But I have to say, Orlando has some really cool stuff. There's always
Foley.
Yes.
I'm
amazed. There's always something fun to do.
Awesome.
I have a question. Is it okay to talk about something that's actually happening tomorrow?
Fire away.
Yeah, go for it. This is a free avenue to talk.
Lauren mentioned Winter Garden. So tomorrow is the Winter Garden Music Festival. So
that's true.
Oh, fun.
I read about that.
11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Downtown Winter Garden will be shut down. Stages set up everywhere. Obviously, all the bars and restaurants open. There'll be food vendors, bands playing. It's free to attend. Bring, just show up with your family, have a good time. I will have 2 kegs of beer at my office in downtown Winter Garden. So you can come by until the beer
That's
runs
awesome.
out.
That's
We'll be
awesome.
serving beer
All
from
right,
11
you better
till we
watch
run
out. You
out.
might need more than 2 now.
Well,
Yeah, right.
somehow someone thought
We have-
2 was enough.
we have
I don't
quite
know
a
what we're thinking, but
following.
that's it. We're leaving after.
Yes.
We're leaving after 2 kegs run out. We're out.
us and the Kardashians, you know, we're right
Yeah.
neck and neck on our fellas. So you better watch
Yeah.
out, buddy. They're gonna
Yeah.
show up.
Yeah.
That sounds cool. That sounds cool, guys. Well, thanks for sharing that, Carlos.
You're welcome.
Well,
All right, Maddie,
cool.
what's next on the agenda, buddy?
That's essentially it. Lauren, you want to wrap us up for the rest of the podcast and get us out of here so you can go to food trucks.
Yeah. So I am Lauren Foley. I'm a realtor here in Orlando, and this is
Orlando
Bo
Brokers.
Julian.
Oh, you're
What a bow.
Yeah, this is Bo Julian with Julian Properties, and that's great. I didn't know you were pointing at me. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do.
I didn't know what that was.
I could
either.
see it. I saw it.
Not watching. If
at
you're
least
listening.
Carlos knew.
I knew.
I'm sorry.
All right, and I'm Bo Julian. We want to thank our guest Carlos Fernandez for coming out here, buddy. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. It was a
You're
true honor to
welcome.
have you and being our first guest on our Orlando Brokers and Bourbon. And we certainly know you always have an extended invitation to come back anytime, and we look forward to having you back, bud.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to coming back, guys.
Looking forward to it. All right, Maddie.
And I'm Matt Allen with the Matt Allen Real Estate Team here in Central Florida, and we appreciate your time. You can always check out our video podcast on YouTube. We are getting ourselves slowly but surely on all the major podcast channels, iHeart, Apple, and all those in between. So we appreciate you guys joining us today. Lauren, I always love your exits. I'm going to let you exit with your years.
Thank you for letting us be in your ears. We're Orlando Brokers and Bourbon.
All right, you guys.
Cheers.
Have a good rest of your
Have a great
evening.
weekend, guys.
Talk
Good
to
night.
you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.